What's up guys, it's Joey and welcome to my mid-game progression guide for Throne and Liberty. With the global launch just around the corner, I know a lot of you are looking for tips to level up your gameplay. Many of you have probably already followed a starter guide, but today we're diving into the next level, which is mid-game progression. If you're at that point where you're ready to push forward, then this guide is for you. First topic on the list are traits. Traits are special attributes found on weapons and armor that provide either offensive or defensive benefits. In Throne and Liberty, the key to weapon traits to focus on include hit, critical hit, attack speed, heavy attack chance, and max health. Hit. This trait affects your accuracy. In Throne and Liberty, there are defensive traits related to armor that enhance evasion. To counter this defensive stat, you will want to prioritize a higher hit stat. Critical hit. This trait increases your chance to land a critical hit. In Throne and Liberty, there is also a defensive stat or defensive trait called Endurance, which reduces the chances of critically hitting players who stack this defensive stat. Attack speed. This trait increases the speed of which you attack, as well as the cast time for abilities and charge time for charged attacks. Higher attack speed not only influences the speed of your attacks, but also enhances animation fluidity, allowing you to chain abilities more smoothly. However, note that attack speed can be affected by your ping. Higher your ping, it can lead to the less effective attack speed. Max health. This trait increases your hit points, which generally improves your overall survivability. Heavy attack chance. This is one of the strongest, most valuable traits in the game. It functions similarly to critical hits. When you score a critical hit, it rolls for a maximum damage within your weapon's potential range. In contrast, a heavy attack simply doubles your damage output. For example, if you typically deal 500 damage to a target, a heavy attack will display ×2 or x2, indicating that you dealt 1000 damage instead of 500. Additionally, heavy attacks can amplify the damage on critical hits. If your regular damage is 200 and you score a critical hit for 350 or 400, a heavy attack can increase your total damage to up to 700 or 800. Coming up next is how do you unlock traits on gear? How do you trade up gear? Basically, all items when they drop, whether if it's from dungeons or open world farming, they will drop one random trait. They will drop one item with a random trait on it. So how do you unlock the rest of the other traits? So each item has 3 lines of traits, 2 of which will be locked. In order for you to unlock them, you either use trait unlock stones, which you need 50 of, or if you pick up duplicate versions of the item that have different traits, you can use those to unlock the trait for the specific item. Please note, you cannot use other items, different items, to unlock traits. You need to use duplicates. But in terms of like leveling up the traits from tier 1 to tier 2, which is doubling or increasing the amount, the value of the traits that it adds. For example, we have 150 max health. If I feed this other item, Transcendental Saint Raiment, which also has max health, my max health will then increase by a total of 300. And you can stack this up to 4 times. Yes, you can use different items, but it's specific to the item type. So if it's armor, it has to be armor traits. If it's gloves, it has to be glove traits. And I also want to highlight that you can also feed lower tier gear traits into higher tier ones. For example, you have a blue item and you want to feed green traits upon it. You can, but it only has a 10% chance of success. So please note that when you try to feed your blue gears into your epic for trading, you only have a 10% chance of successfully feeding that trait. But that's where the blessing comes in. So blessing is sort of like a pity system that NCSoft added into the game that gives you blessing points when you fail to upgrade your trait. For example, I wanted to put and feed a max health of a blue item into this epic tier 1 item at only a 10% chance. If that fails, it gives me 40 points. So how do we get trait unlock stones? Where do we get trait unlock stones? Basically, you get trait unlock stones by doing tier 1 dungeons, collecting tokens, and using those tokens to convert them into the common trait unlock stone bundle. Each bundle gives 3 trait unlock stones, which means you need to farm dungeons hard if you want to stack up upon this. But this is not the only place you can get trait unlock stones from. You can also get trait unlock stones by unlocking mystic orbs using mystic portal keys, which you can get from the contract NPC with a daily limit of 5. So every day you can get 5 keys and unlock 5 orbs, and you have a chance to get trait unlock stones. Coming up next is, what if you got an item, a very rare item, for example an epic tier item, and it has a trait that you don't want? What you can do is convert that trait using trait conversion stones. So basically, you can use, if you have another duplicate of the item, you can use that duplicate and some trait conversion stones to select or convert that specific trait to whichever trait the duplicate item is. Let's say you want to replace this buff duration with another trait like, let's say, by chance. You need either a duplicate of this item, or you can use trait unlock stones. Usually you want to use a duplicate option. You want to save up on your trait unlock stones and keep them for items that are much more rare, such as world boss drops or arch boss weapons. So where do you get these trait conversion stones? You will be able to find them from the guild merchant. What if you have an overabundance of items that you don't need? For example, you picked up an item with range endurance and you're a dagger player, which means you use evasion traits, and you have no use for these endurance traits. What you can do is extract those traits and sell it in the auction house. In order to extract those traits, you need trait extraction stones and Solant. So you will effectively use trait extraction stones along with a certain amount of Solant in order to extract the item. So where do you get trait extraction stones? You can get trait extraction stones from the contract coin merchant with a weekly limit of 420. That means you can get up to 420 pieces if you have the contract coins for it. With this, you can efficiently sell items on the auction house. And as you can see, there are an overabundance of traits in the auction house of items or traits that people don't need. For example, there are 3 items here with magic endurance and they cost 50 lucent. You could be effectively the player that sells these traits and make lucent, and you can then use that lucent to further progress your character by buying traits from the market that you need. As you progress through Throne and Liberty, you will find yourself having certain items. You might have gotten lucky and you picked up an item that others deem as valuable but is not part of the build that you're running. You can choose to lithograph said item and sell them in the auction house. If you go to the auction house, you can go over here to miscellaneous and click lithograph. Here you will see a list of items listed by other players that they are selling for lucent. So there are certain times where you are just unlucky and you're not getting the item that you need by farming it. Other players might not be so unlucky and they will list these items for sale in the auction house for lucent. You can do the same. If you find an item that you don't need, you can lithograph it and it costs a certain amount of materials. For example, precious blank lithograph armor. In order to get precious blank lithograph armor, you need to craft it by going to the armor crafting NPC in Stoneguard. And here you will find at the bottom, we'll scroll, actually it's a little bit on the top, yeah, right here. So the precious blank lithograph armor costs these materials. precious parchment 10 pieces, 25 enchanted inks, 10 precious stone leather, 5 precious polished crystals, and 5 precious talents. Now your guys are wondering, what is the enchanted ink and where do you get them? So let me show you real quick. Now here we are back at the contract merchant. This is the only source that I know so far where you can get enchanted ink. Alright, so here it says you have a weekly limit of 50 enchanted inks. That means you can only craft if it requires 25 enchanted ink for one piece of blank lithograph armor that allows you to craft 2 of them. If you buy 50, you're only able to sell 1 item a week. You're only able to lithograph 1 item a week. Hopefully AGS changes that and allows free-to-play players more opportunities to sell farm gear to other players in order for them to be able to keep up with the whales. Yes, fishing. Fishing is a life skill in Throne and Liberty, and it's an activity that you have to do on a daily basis. You need fishing in order to supply yourself with materials that you can use for cooking. Now take note, different biomes yield different types of fish in Throne and Liberty. Also, your fishing level allows you to catch different types of fish. The higher your fishing level, the easier it is you'll be able to find these rare types of fish. Finally, a cooking guide. Cooking is key, especially in terms of crafting your own consumables that you can either use yourself or, if you craft with great success, sell in the auction house. You level up cooking by actually straight up just cooking. The higher tier of food you cook, the more XP you get. Always work towards cooking higher tier food to level up faster and unlock more types of food to cook. On a side note, you can also use cooking mastery bonus food to improve your cooking leveling experience. First of all, where do you cook? You cook by going into an oven that you can find in Castleton or Stoneguard, or if you're in Toland, Herba Village. As you progress in Throne of Liberty with your fishing, you will also want to make sure you level up your cooking. So this is where all the fish that you caught from fishing comes into play, because there are specific recipes in cooking that require fish and fish materials when you dissolve these fish, like fish oils. So there are 4 types of food. There's attack, defense, utility, and miscellaneous. Take note, you can only stack 1 attack or defense food buff, but you can stack up to 3 utility food buffs, as well as 1 miscellaneous food buff. Now, the attack type food focuses on offensive food buffs that work either in PvP or PvE. There's a good amount of attack food you can use to either increase your hit, critical hit, or skill damage boost. For the defense type food, focuses on your defensive traits or defensive stats. They help you survive. These stats that you get from here are damage reduction, evasion, endurance, CC resistance, and skill damage resistance. And third, you have utility type of food. You can stack up to 3 different types of utility food. One of the 3 different foods you can stack is max health plus health regen. Second is attack speed plus movement speed. Third is max mana plus mana regen. You can also craft consumable utility food like the honey sponge cake, which you can use out of combat to increase your HP or mana regen to recover 500 points per second, which can be very useful if you play a class that has no heals or form of sustain. Lastly, we have the miscellaneous type of food. Miscellaneous type of food gives the quality of life type of bonuses for farming and leveling. You can use miscellaneous type food to either increase your cooking mastery bonus or your fishing mastery bonus, or you can even use it to increase your weapon mastery XP bonus, along with 10% efficiency when it comes to abyssal contract tokens. You can also use it to increase your weapon mastery bonus and 10% Abyssal Contract Token efficiency bonus to allow you min-max farming for open world dungeons when you do your weekly contracts. You can also increase your Solant farming bonus by 50%. And that's about it for my mid-game progression guide. I hope you guys found this information useful, especially if you are a new player looking to get into Throne of Liberty. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and I also stream on Twitch. This is the link, twitch.tv, Joey TV, and see you guys on the next one.